Welcome to a live Q&A broadcast with Senior Instructor Tony Kosinec. We're very excited to have you join today. Always look forward to these events. So please prepare your questions, or if they come up during the broadcast, just drop them in the chat and our tech team will scoop them up and we'll ask them here. Also, if you could limit the chats to focusing on just the questions, that helps our tech team to more efficiently collect your questions. Tony, it seems like we just did this a couple weeks ago. There is no time. It's great to see you.
I think it was just a couple of weeks ago. So your senses are working correctly today, Mary. Yeah, this is, it's great to do this. I love to share this, and I especially love to hear what people need, because it gives an opportunity to open things up. If you don't need, there's nothing really to give except a bunch of what will feel like theoretical ideas. It's not. This is the absolute sustenance and substance of our life. Kabbalah is very interesting. It touches everything. It includes every wisdom in it, in a chain of cause and effect. It goes to the deepest place out of which the real essence of our existence comes. And it's a methodology that gives us access to this level, to a direct connection with what we think of as a divine level, as the deepest level, a level of truth, a level of love. And this wisdom with all of these connections together can be attained by a person in the simplest way. The method teaches us how to use the medium that the deepest level has given us, that is, a world and people in it, and especially the relationship between us and others, as the means of enlightenment, as a means of being able to penetrate beyond the appearance of things to that root level on which we meet the Creator and the greater unlimited reality that a certain quality in us completely conceals. This method can be summarized in love your friend as yourself. We reach this inclusive perception of reality actually through the love of others. But how we understand what love is, what that intention, that emotive truth of what we actually feel towards others and what we want with them and for them, is something that one has to learn. But you don't have to go to another planet or another dimension. We don't have to understand the physical level of the sciences to deal with the spiritual science. We only need to understand a true intention in the heart. We need to be trained to do that and to understand the correct value and balance between what our reason says and what our faith or our heart actually says. These things can be learned. They're actual, they're substantive, and one can truly progress and begin to expand their perception of reality through learning this methodology. There are alternate ways of looking at it, of course. It is a science, the most profound science, in which all phenomena in the world can be properly felt and understood. And also we can see what their true basis is. But we don't get there by addressing the spiritual physics first and directly. Those things are only there also in order to teach the heart and for the heart to be able to see through them. The most fundamental part and the most important part is the thing that will also heal the world. It also will get rid of the problems that we're facing now en masse. The wars, the disconnection from each other, the inability to hear each other, and all of the bad things that it's producing, the lies, the basis of society on no truth at all, the complete loss of faith, and a sort of an inner war. What can overcome this? To understand that the basis of our spiritual grasp and the fulfillment of us and everyone else in the world comes through love your friend as yourself, which is a spiritual prescription for the correct attitude and the correct connection to others. Hopefully we'll open this up a bit as we go on. So Mary, what do people want to know?
Well, Boaz Arcana 10 opens it up beautifully. The question is, are we subjective to an objective reality, or are we objective to a subjective reality?
Both. Everything that we see and feel has a reality according to the intention that is dominating our perception. And that intention is to receive good for myself, to protect myself. I'm primarily thinking about reception of all the good and bounty that exists in creation for myself. And that is completely subjective. Just by definition, it's subjective. It's also opposite to the force that creates us and creates this bounty that we want. That force is an intention to bestow without a thought of self, to bestow, to create and maintain every aspect in reality for its benefit. That is the intention that we call the Creator. And that is objective. It's objective because it does not think of self. It only attends to and fulfills everything outside of it for their well-being. The reason I said both is that when a person learns to contact this and come into similarity of intention as the intention of the upper force, then there is nothing but that. There is nothing but that. So there is, you could say it's both or neither. When we become completely fulfilled by attaining the same degree as the one that created us. You'll have to think on that. Mary?
Hey, Tony, another related question. You were mentioning the internal struggle during our times. Leon wants to know, is the fear internal or external from the cosmos?
Are we receiving fear externally and it's coming to us? There's different kinds of fears. There's a kind of fear that is about our maintaining our existence, protecting what we have. And then there's fear that we can't even determine what it is or where it's coming from. And this is really rather a disconnection from ourselves, a disconnection from really knowing what the purpose of our life is and what we want out of life. And then there is another deeper, more important fear, which is the fear that we will lose the meaning of our life, that we will not pursue what we were created for, that we will lose connection with a meaningful connection with the upper force. All of the impetus that we receive that develops us, you can call this fear. It's an act of nature that works on us in order to create the correct need in us. It's a helping force that comes not from the cosmos, but from the intention of the Creator, so to speak. From nature, and it's one of the forces that nature uses to develop us. When we fear for something, it creates a need in us for that thing. And it does this to us over and over and over again until we come to eventually want and need the right thing, which is to be able to act just like the upper force does for the well-being of others and all. And that also includes us in the end. I want to let people know that this broadcast is the first one that is happening with a real-time translation into Spanish, so that our Spanish friends and students are able to listen, watch, and participate. And hopefully during this broadcast, we'll also be fielding some questions from our Spanish-speaking students. Mary?
Okay, next question, Tony, is from Zachary. How has the practice of Kabbalah improved your life and or influenced your personality?
Oh, I don't know that it's influenced my personality. It's probably magnified it, like it gets a higher resolution of whatever it is that I was created, intended to be. The improvement is the embrace of things, the embrace of things. To see the beauty, appreciate those things, even the things that seem to be going against me or my development, or it just gives a ballast, a comfort and an insight into the way in which nature is working with me. One feels at home in the cosmos, in one's life, and realizes that everything is working together in order to help bring me or anybody involved in this into a conscious awareness of the completeness, the eternality of this love, and the ability bit by bit to partake in that love, to be to pass it forward, to express it in relation to others. It makes life good. And it doesn't matter what form presents itself, even the worst forms. It can be appreciated as an expression of good and love in this relationship of the heart between the creature and the creator. Is that understandable? I don't know.
Hey, Tony, and what if it doesn't make life good? Maravi Anita Kyotiki is asking, what if my mental condition was happier and more realistic before I ever found the Kabbalah teachings? Should I quit and find a better daily life without Kabbalah involvement?
What do you mean by more realistic? I mean, how do you know what's real? Before you knew what was real, but now that you've come to learn to experience a true perception of reality, it's less realistic. One needs to understand that that your inner qualities begin to change. When we express the desire to learn, the upper force takes us seriously and begins to evolve us, challenge us, and we won't be as we were. We won't see reality as before. We won't expect to be immediately personally fulfilled. We will be one if we understand what we're really learning, which is how to be like the Creator, how to be like the upper force. We're going to understand that we're not going to be receiving in the same way. So our sense of what is pleasure is going to change. Desire and pleasure are the motivating force behind all of existence. And what we understand as pleasure is going to change when we want to know what it's like to be the giver of everything rather than the receiver of everything. So the sense that we're being fulfilled is going to change. there's a kind of a restriction on that where we begin to see, oh, so this may be a different type of a vessel that I receive pleasure into, and maybe my definition of pleasure is also going to change. If we start to undergo these changes, it's a good sign. It means that the light is actually working on us. We have to remember what our goal is. And if we cannot hold on to the goal, then we are not going to see value in it. We are going to rather want what we had in Egypt. You know, we're going to want the pots of flesh and the onions, and meaning we're going to want those things that the will to receive finds pleasure in. When we leave, when we start to exit this sort of egoistic framework, our definition of pleasure changes, and it's something we have to learn. But as to the last part of your question, you are completely free. There is no, you can make any choice that you want. There is no coercion here. And nature only evolves us according to our need. And if you don't feel a need for it, yes, you should go. Find something else that works for you. On the other hand, the key to success is anything, go through anything but leave. But it's still a matter of free will, completely up to you. So good luck.
Okay, the next question comes from Paul de Bruin. Hi, Paul. Great to have you here today. Paul's been studying for many years. Paul is wondering how to proceed from the human degree, while in effect we are in the animal degree, to a higher degree where our desires become more spiritual, more emphatic, more altruistic.
How to proceed? Efforts. Efforts in relation to observing what you are intending towards others, why you're doing, why you're studying, how we are judging or including people as part of our heart. Are we trying to feel what others need, or are we not interested in what they need because there's something about them that bugs us? You proceed. It's difficult, but it's worthwhile. You proceed according to what you're being taught about the methodology. We put our efforts in over and over again, and we ask for help. Most fundamentally, we ask for help. We are created in an opposite form from the force that created us. And we are completely and totally dependent on this force for our advancement. We are making choices, we are making efforts, but in the end, what we're trying to do is merge with this force. So it has to be real to us. We have to understand where strength lies. Does it lie in the illusory picture of reality in which we're all separate individuals, etc., and we stand by our own force and we'll figure this stuff out? Or are we trying to find a way to take on the qualities of this upper force? And if it is an upper force and there is nothing but this force, then how would I proceed except to ask for its help? So if that's what the heart truly, truly wants, it is answered bit by bit, and we have to learn to recognize when we are being answered, because the answer to a request or a prayer is usually not in the form that we expect, because we're asking from a place of blindness, and then we receive light and we don't understand at that moment what's happening to us. Next.
Yeah, Tony, I was just looking at all the locations that friends
Great.
are tuning in from today. So I like to read those. I didn't mention it. I usually do it at the beginning of the broadcast. So appreciate everyone's reminders here by sharing. And you can continue to do so. I'll announce more locations a little later. So we have South Africa, California, Sac, Spain, Netherlands, Russia, Tennessee in the US, Pennsylvania, Sweden, Virginia, Poland, Boston, Barcelona, Spain, Hartsville, how perfect, in the US, Peru, Romania, Utah, Kingdom of Eswatini, France, DC, Tunisia, Ohio, Germany, New York City, Costa Rica, Johannesburg, South Africa, Alabama, US, India, North Carolina, Hungary, Argentina, Antofagasta, Chile, PDX, Ethiopia, Michigan, North Carolina, Brazil, Chile, Toronto, Urdu, Turkey, another Michigan, England, another Michigan, and Los Angeles. Thank you. Wow, what an amazing blanket of love in this broadcast. Thank you, everyone. You can continue to share. Thank you again. Very exciting.
So I'm answering questions here to students, but also to people who are just interested in and maybe have stumbled on this stream. If you are somebody who's interested in actually learning Kabbalah, the methodology of Kabbalah, and the science of Kabbalah, there is a private broadcast that happens right after this, and students of KabU join us there, and if you want to see what that's like, you can join for free to KabU for a period of time, and you can go directly from this broadcast into that private meeting that we're having. And Mary, tell them how to do that, if you would.
Okay, sure. You can look for the link in the chats to join in the second hour. Actually, it's a really beautiful session. It's very intimate. You can ask Tony follow-up questions. It's great if you can have your cameras on and ready to go with a non-active background, nice clean background, dress presentably, and have that personal interaction with Tony. We've seen a few things, so I thought I might mention that. So you can see the link. You'll gain access to several Kabbalah courses from beginners to advanced, and you'll be part of the world's largest online Kabbalah community. And there's many resources there. You can ask instructors questions in the student forum. You don't have to wait every 6 weeks, although I think this is the most exciting opportunity. And you'll get exclusive weekly webinars. Also, there's a course coming up with Tony starting April 28th. So that's coming up pretty soon. So that would be amazing if you think about it now and join. And there is that second hour that you can participate in today.
Yeah, so there should be a link. And if you click on that link, you can sign up even while we're doing this, for the free trial and so on. And I'll see you there in that meeting.
Okay, so going on to the next question. By the way, several questions from YouTube viewers. Thank you. And from Instagram. I see a couple here from Facebook as well. Next question is from Aurelio Munoz. Hello, Tony and Mary. Glad to be part of this with you all. As I learn Kabbalah with everyone here, can it still be applied to others who don't study it? And does that influence the system?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by can it be applied to those who don't study it. Applied, I'm wondering if you mean, can I interact in the way that I'm being developed to interact as a Kabbalist towards the rest of the world? Well, yes, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, but the training needs to be within the sort of simulator of for a while of just with other students, because our development depends very much on knowing for certain that everybody that we're dealing with has the same intention to do this. And that's like the training wheels. Because out in the world, the intentions vary so much, and they're basically opposite to what it is that we want to achieve. But, I mean, how you treat people in the world is something else. You want to treat them according to what you're learning, for sure. But is that the measure when you're learning what happens between you and people in the general society? No, because that's too out of control for you. First, you have to learn in a kind of a, as I said, in a kind of a simulator, what you're dealing with, how to observe the part of you that you can call intention and all of that. So it takes a little bit of training to do that. People out in the world can recognize the value of some of these things about Kabbalah, and they can gain something from it, even without training, if they understand that the basis of it has got to do with the nature of connection between people. And that the prime directive of reality itself is greater and greater connection for connection's sake. And people in the public may already feel and intuit that this globalization that we're experiencing, and I'm not talking about the political globalization, I mean the complete interconnectedness that we are experiencing now, where it's impossible for any country or any person anywhere to do anything that doesn't affect every other, that this is got to do with our basic nature and identity, and that in fact we are not billions of people. We are a single creature in relation to a single force that created us. There is nothing else in reality. I think people can sort of feel that. They can't see it, but they know that there's something really big that is changing. What's changing is not the fundamental reality, but is our ability to feel this, that it's being shown to us at least on the physical level, for us to begin to work with it in the heart. Because it's not possible to live in a world that is completely and totally interconnected and to hate each other. As a matter of fact, all of these things that are happening to us now, politically, globally, are because our heart and what we want, our desires, are unsuited to the higher reality of complete interconnection. We don't want it, really. We have to learn to see it, want it, and live in it. And that law of this new era is love your friend as yourself. How else can you live eternally interconnected with others and not know that that's yourself? Why war against ourselves? Why, that's cancer, basically. But we're being forced by nature, is pushing us into this awareness. So yeah, in general, the population of the world is being pushed to become aware of there is a primary law, and we will all need to learn it and live it, or we won't be able to live in this new era that we're now going into. Mary?
Thank you, Tony. Next question is from Mirtha Finot. Good afternoon. I am from Chile. I've seen other programs, and I want to know, why is the 10 so important?
First of all, as I said, we're not an individual separated part of humanity or of reality. We are completely connected to all of it, and we cannot feel or perceive the upper force, the creator, as an individual. We only come to feel it when we become more like that force itself. The means that we were given, as I said in the opening, the medium by which we reveal this is through others. Now, the fractal form of reality, that is, that law that applies to every single piece of everything in creation, is our 10 sfirot. That's basically what the Kabbalistic tree of life is. Everything that we see is based on 10 qualities. You could say it's like, it's like an atom with various forces that move within it. In order to come into alignment with the way in which we are actually constructed and with the force that constructed us, we have to acknowledge that our relationship is through this fractal. It's through these 10 qualities, but we don't need to know what these qualities are and do, and relate to them. Everything has this in it. And we need to be relating to that, and not just out of ourselves directly to this force, but through our connection with 10 other people. Now, 10 is a quality, it's not a number, but let's just leave it at that. When we can set up a correct relationship, correct attitude towards a group of other people, one of absolute trust, one where we are in admiration of their greatness, where the light and the connection to the Creator comes through the relatedness, we begin to leave that sense of individuality as the definition of ourselves, and we begin to identify and act in the same way as the upper force does. We are trying to leave the egoistic shell, which is the cause of all of our pain and all of the destruction and so on in the world. It's the fundamental cause of hatred and separation. When we start to, how do you move outside of this egoistic framework? You use it in a different way through connecting it in a real and measurable way with a group of other people. And that self made up of 10, that one can relate directly to the Creator. In other words, we go from the love of friends to the love of the Creator. You can't start with a relationship with the Creator. All those ideas that we have about, oh yes, I love the Creator. I mean, the Creator's so great. Me and him, we've got a relationship. No matter what, I've always got the Creator. Unless it's a true attainment that is spread, that has to do with other people, there is no Creator involved. That's only a desire for the Creator. But to come into dialogue with the Creator and to begin to learn His qualities and the qualities of the upper force and how we can carry them forward, it only happens through the love of others. So the 10 is a place where we begin to function above our ego in exactly the same way. We come into equivalence of form with the Creator. That's its importance. There's no other gateway.
Hey, Tony, expanding that outward, Crystal James wants to know, how do we speed up spiritual attainment for the whole world? What can I do?
Work on your own. Hi, Crystal. Work on your own. Your hands don't reach everywhere. Your feet don't reach everywhere. But the intention of your heart is everywhere. It's the quantum part of us. And if our connection, especially in the 10, begins to include in our heart the well-being of the greater world, then it affects it. But all of this has to be done through attainment. It's not done through special actions or special inner thoughts. It's done in a simple way through our connection with others and extending that concern and care beyond that. I don't know that these words can really explain that. It's a matter of feeling it, attaining it, but it has to be an extension of already existent love and an emotive field between you and other people. That can be extended out to affect the world. Individually, no.
We have Sylvia from Argentina. Welcome, Sylvia.
Welcome.
How does this method differ from other methods that also talk about loving your fellow?
This teaches you how to do that. We have assumptions about what it means to love your neighbor and all that, and love your friend. But the only thing that Kabbalah deals with is the how. It goes directly to the deepest part of the heart. It shows us where we are not in a love of others. It reveals where the work is, and it then describes how to do that work It's only aimed at love your friend as yourself, your neighbor as yourself. It's not an idea that somehow we'll come to this at the end of everything that everything else we're doing, or let's be nice people. It's the methodology itself is focused on the love of others as self, okay? It's not, whereas other methodologies may focus on meditation or ritual or other things, this goes only to that as the central point that evolves into the relationship with the Creator and with all of reality. That's its difference. It is the focal point.
Also, from another Spanish-speaking friend, from Monica Salvatierra, welcome. If I study Kabbalah by the mere fact of studying, do we influence the rest of the people?
Well, yes, because you are a part of the rest of the people, and that desire in you, changes its polarity. It flips towards bestowal, from receiving to giving in your intention. So that it's like a magnetic field. If it turns over, it begins to turn over those, necessarily the fields of everything around it also begin to flip. There is no other way to influence the world except through the inner changes that we go through. And there is no real disconnection from the world as a whole. That's illusion. There is only one reality, and that is the creature in relation to the Creator. There is only how close or how far am I from the Creator, and what does it mean to be close, and what does it mean to be far? This is what we learn. But it's not just that it affects everything, it's just that there is nothing else but the creature and the Creator, nothing else. And all the multiplicity that we seem to see is only our desire to be left to enjoy our ego. So that's not even real. In the end, there is nothing but this bestowing force, and every change that we make changes our reality, and it's not just our reality. So yes, it affects everything.
Hey, Tony, a great follow-up question from Giselle Leva. Hi, Tony. When humanity reaches that level of desire to bestow beyond the level of our world, would this world, as a projection of the broken soul, end existing as such, meaning the end of nature?
I'm not catching what the question is.
I'll read it again. When humanity reaches that level of desire to bestow beyond the level of our world, would this world, assuming mean this physical world, as a projection of the broken soul end? Would it no longer exist?
Okay. Thank you. Yes, it doesn't exist in the same way. The world is a particular condition or state of the heart of our intention. It's an inner state of ours. The actual reality, the sort of spiritual objects, you could say, are not as we perceive them. The perception is related, but it's a kind of an inversion of what that is. So the way that we feel makes a different world, because worlds are feelings. World is a kind of perception, it's not a concrete external bunch of separated objects. We begin to see what actually makes us see a world that is beautiful or not beautiful, good or not good, and so on. So that world, as we perceive it now, ceases to be, but world does exist. It becomes a spiritual world. In other words, we see it at a higher level. We see more how it is the way that it is, And we are participating then in the management of that world, in a sense that there's a recognition that the intentional part of us, the emotive part of us, that we now should have some grasp on. We can see when it is and isn't in alignment, and its effect on the world. It's like it becomes a garden for us to tend to. I'll leave it there.
The next question comes from, and I hope I pronounce this correctly if it's French, Timni Charanet. Good evening, Gary and Tony. Why is it difficult to forgive someone, who hurted us? How does the wisdom of Kabbalah see feelings like anguish and resentment?
Everything that happens in order to develop us. Even the worst of what happens, it happens in order to make us question what suffering is and where it comes from. That is, what causes it, and to what degree am I connected to being involved in it. Everything that happens is meant to dig us out of our commitment to separation, to aloneness, and to the possibility that such things as harm and betrayal are a reality. The desire that it creates in us to understand what good is, and then the action that we take to see what is the purpose of these things that we call bad, and how can one reach good, and how can one give good if what hurts me the most and breaks my heart is the sensation of being ill-treated or ill-treating somebody else. That's how Kabbalah sees it. It's meant to correct us. It's meant to raise us and understand that at every level of our development, that's the way that nature works with us. We will not grow if we're not shaken out of a useless state and demanded that we grow. Everything in reality evolves this way. The state that it was in prior to its higher development becomes destroyed, like the shell of a seed, and it completely dissipates and just turns into its components in the soil, and out of that comes something new, different, brighter, more attuned towards going towards the light. That's how Kabbalah sees it. Reality works, the Creator works with a right and a left hand in our development. The left hand makes it so that we no longer can live in the limited, painful, now useless state that we have been in, and the right hand beckons us forward with the light that it shows us and the new awareness that dawns in us. That's pretty much it.
Okay, watching on YouTube. Thank you for your question, Eric. What is the extent of our free will? Does it increase as we advance? Please explain in as much detail as you have time for. I think I can hang for 4 hours. I don't know if you'll hold up, Tony, but because of your voice.
Yeah.
Detail we have time for. And he says, thank you.
You're welcome. No, we have no free will at all until we perceive what a correct definition of free will is. Because what we think of as being able to choose this, that, or the other thing, no matter what nature is presenting to us, is not free will. this is just disconnection from the law of nature. It is the what we think of as free will is actually, in the ego, is actually ignorance. That is the distance between the law, how nature actually functions, and where we are. Do I want to know this? Do I understand that there is nothing that is happening that isn't absolutely eternal, perfect, divine, let's say. And then there's my attitude towards it. Now, the opposite side of free will would be to actually want everything that nature is presenting to me. That I would want to do that on myself. If a person comes to a place where the gap of ignorance of how nature works with us closes, and we embrace that, then we have total free will. And then one last detail. In the meantime, while we are all in this gap of ignorance, the one place where we can actually choose is the environment that we put ourselves in. What values and influences do I want for me, in which my seed is going to grow? Because those forces are already set, and it will grow according to the quality of the soil and the rain and the environment in which I place my spiritual point. And so the choice of where to put that is given to us because nature is looking for the indication of what our desire is, and then it will bring all the forces into play to develop us until we come to the point in which we want the same thing that nature does. That's a lot of detail.
That was perfect. Okay, so Julie DeHaan wants to know, what is a correction, and can you give an example?
A correction is something that we approach from the point of view of the ego, where in this feeling, desire, interaction, whatever, what I want out of it is to receive something. And it doesn't matter if it's a physical thing or even to receive light from above and enlightenment. Why am I engaging in this? If it's just in order to receive, or this feeling is making me judge others. So that point in which I wished, my intention was to receive, I ask for it to be changed into a place in which I can stop thinking of self and think of other, let's say, in the interaction. So it's something that moves us from the will to receive, the egoistic intention, into the one that is opposite that desire, that's coming from the Creator, and we make ourselves like that, rather than that place in which it's pressuring us and we feel it as its opposite. I want this for myself. When the heart changes its intention, that's a correction.
Okay, Tony, another matter of the heart. Gladys Perez, Spanish-speaking viewer. Thank you for joining, Gladys. Wants to know, I love a person, but I don't see it towards me. I love him so much that I don't feel I can live without that person. Can Kabbalah give me some advice on this?
Well, I think you're speaking about a personal, romantic or mate relationship. Well, all of these relationships in life function by the same law. We need to be serving the other person. That's basically it. That we are concerned for the well-being of the other person. Now, I don't see the love that for me. Well, I think in a mating relationship, you've got to see it, or you have to know how to feel it, because it may not be the way you expect it to be, because expression between people is different, and especially between male and female is quite different of these things. There may be an expectation of a certain form that will tell you that this person cares and loves, but that may not be. So there's a bridging that has to happen between people. But fundamentally, if you want to feel the love of another person, you need to be doing it for their well-being. But it's not the same. You can't start there to get into the spiritual. You can begin to understand those relationships if you learn it in a place where the stakes are not like, I must have this person or else. One has to learn the methodology in relation to other people that they wouldn't be your friend unless you got put together with them. The only reason that you're with them in working on this, it turns out, is because they've got the same desire in their heart. But other than that, like, you're not interested in them. This is where you learn the purest form of being able to love others for their benefit. So I'm not going to try to solve your, I don't think there must be some advice columnist that you can speak to. I know I'm not making fun of you. It's a serious thing, but it's not really directly what Kabbalah deals with.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Well, we still have time. I want to share some other locations. If you type quickly, then yours might get added here. This is the last time I'll share the rest of different countries. We have Germany, Texas, almost like a country, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, California, Caracas, Sydney, Australia, Croatia, Morocco, Canada, Jerusalem and Israel, Colorado, another friend from South Africa, Portland, Oregon, Mexico, Texas, LA, Tennessee, Florida, Brazil, Belgica, Colombia, California desert, that's cool, and San Diego. Sparks covering the entire planet today with us. That's an amazing list. I'm always impressed, but today, like, even more so. So thank you, everyone. Next question we have is from Greg Finn. I'm a little confused when the word Torah is used in some of the texts. It has a connotation of religion, but Kabbalah is not a religion. Can you help me to understand this, Tony?
Kabbalah and the word Torah and its actual meaning and mitzvot, commandments and all that, predate religion. This is a wisdom, a science, out of which all of the spiritual wisdom in the world came. When a Torah means teaching by the light teaches us. It means coming to have a direct relationship with the upper force in such a way that this relationship shows us what to do, where to go, how to respond to it, and we come to be in a dialogue with it. It's a matter of attainment. That's what Torah means. Mitzvot and commandments means our engagement in the work and the different levels that one ascends as these corrections, or mitzvot, or becoming like the commandment or the law of nature itself, raises a person. Now, there was a time when humanity was very subtle, that our will to receive was not as coarse, as dense as it is now. And there was a portion of humanity that was in this work. When we lost this connection and fell from that subtle and high state, that's when these things fell into what we think of as religion. It's no longer practice as a methodology, but as rules, as like some hidden secrets, as there is such a thing as the upper force, but we're here and it's way up there, and the whole materialization and egoization of that came afterwards. But this language comes from nature itself, and it's why it penetrates so many religions that exist today. Why Judaism and Kabbalah, they're not the same thing. Christianity, sort of evolved from that pretty much at the same time. When Judaism evolved, that was also the time when Christianity evolved. And then 500-600 years later, you have Islam. And at the time before all of this happened, this wisdom was also spread to the East and all of that. So it's not religion. Religion is a kind of memory devices, a menu that says that direct attainment of the quality of the Creator exists somewhere, but not in the egoized form of it. And anybody who has a point in the heart and wishes to learn this wisdom, it used to be closed for thousands of years. It was closed because we didn't have the correct desire. We didn't need it. So it was hidden. Who hid it? We hid it because we didn't need it. I don't mean we the Kabbalists, I mean our egos. But in general, the need in humanity is towards the revelation of this and our true relationship with spirituality. So yes, there's a confusion, and that language will always confuse us, and we have to, it's part of how we ascend, by overcoming that concealment. So I'm going to end there. Mary has a few announcements. Thank you, friends.
Okay, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I did have more friends share their location, so I do want to read those. Canary Islands, Nebraska, Romania, Spain, Colombia, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Belgium. So again, thank you, everyone. Some really amazing questions today. This was really enjoyable. Thank you so much. For the announcements, you can join KabU, as I mentioned earlier, but I'll run through it again in case you join late. If you're not already a KabU member, then we invite you to join. You can see the links in the chat. To do that, you'll gain access to several Kabbalah courses. From beginners to advanced, you'll be part of the biggest online Kabbalah community. You can ask instructors questions anytime you want in a student forum. You get access to a KabU exclusive weekly webinar. You'll get access to the next Kabbalah Revealed course with Tony. That starts April 28th. And you'll see links for a special Zoom session right following this broadcast for 1 full hour where you can ask Tony questions, follow-up questions. It's always great if your camera's on. It's very intimate, personal interaction, and we generate a really beautiful connection in that session. If you don't want to join KabU, but you want to support KabU, then we always welcome donations. You can become a member, or you can simply make a donation, and we appreciate that. We're volunteers, all of our tech team. Thank you to all those friends working really hard to collect your questions and working behind the scenes long before the broadcast even starts. We couldn't be here without them. And special thanks to Tony. I'm glad your voice held up, and it's always amazing to be with you.
Thank you, Mary. I feel the support, and it helped the voice. And thank you, friends. Yeah, great questions. And I hope to see you again.